another segment of Fantasy Game Plan on Reno 97. Today we have joining us a special guest here, Dave Alpern, a.k.a. the Guru, the Pernsky.
I appreciate that. At Pernsky on Twitter, by the way.
So he's taking Joey D's spot, and I will have you know that he's actually Joey D's boss. So, you guys let us know. I don't know if Joey D, may be on the same wavelength. But you let us know out there who you guys think needs to be the
I
guy.
am a Redskins fan, unlike Joey D, who roots for Big Blue. Speaking of the Redskins, tough week.
Really tough week.
Tough week. What in the world, from a former player? I didn't know what I was watching. I didn't know if I was watching a track meet or a rugby game or what was going on, but I did not like it. What are your thoughts?
Well, you had to know what was going to happen. Chip Kelly, the fast-paced offense. I mean, it was unbelievable. They were breaking the speed limit out on the field, man, because they were running some plays, weren't they?
And lost in all that was a new D coordinator. I think the offense was just as confused, not sure what they were seeing. I give them credit. They made some, I think Haslett made some good adjustments on defense there, getting to Vic there towards the end of the game. The offense clearly made some good adjustments.
Yep.
RG3, my fantasy quarterback, chucked a couple, thankfully, which I needed to get past Denny Hamlin in week 1 in our fantasy league. So I edged by him thanks to RG3's two touchdown passes.
Yeah. And now the Redskins, they got a big one. Both teams, Redskins 0-1. Our other team, they're playing the Packers 0-1. One of these teams are going to come out 0-2. And it's a big game down in Packerland.
It's a big game, and I'd say it's a big fantasy game because I'd say anyone you've got on those teams, start them because that ball is going to be chucked all over the frozen tundra, which won't be too frozen this weekend. I think there's going to be a lot of points there. Speaking of points, I think when we talk about fantasy lineups, man, I always go to the Vegas odds. I'm not a gambler, but I will say they don't build those big buildings out there because they don't know what they're doing. I look at the Vegas odds and I see, what do they have? Who are they saying is going to score a lot of points? Go to the over-under. And I go right to the games that have the highest number for over-under, and I'm like, I'm starting people in that game because they're going to score a lot of points. And this week there's one that jumps out, and that is Denver and the Giants. Anyone who watched Peyton Manning doesn't take a rocket scientist. They're going to score some points, but that's a game I'd say.
Two brothers going back and forth there.
They got all kinds of dynamics going on. So on the Giants, do you start everybody in that game? How about David Wilson?
Well, that's a big question. Do you start him? Do you bench him? There's a lot of people out there that say, hey, you shouldn't bench a guy from one bad game.
That was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad, and I'm sure that a lot of you fantasies, you got a lot of negative points in that game if you did start David Wilson. Do you give him another chance, or what do you think?
If I didn't have any other options, I might start him as an RB2 or a flex. Hopefully you've got a better option than that, but if you drafted him, you probably spent a high pick on him. I'd give him another week. I wouldn't be too worried about Brandon Jacobs. I think he might vulture a goal line or two, but like I said, there are going to be a lot of touchdowns in this game. There's going to be enough to go around. I think Cruz is going to get one. I think Nix, let me tell you, Akeem Nix hadn't been healthy in a while. He looked good. I think he's going to get some points. And then on the Green Bay side, if he's wearing on the Denver side, if he's wearing a Denver uniform, I'd start him. And as a Decker owner,
right?
Let me just say, Peyton threw 7 and none of them were to Decker. He did drop one, but I'm throwing him in the lineup. I'm giving him another week. Absolutely. He's my wide receiver 3. I give Decker another chance.
So at the end of the day, he talks about starting Decker. I'm going to be expecting that because this is the guy that I'm actually facing in fantasy. So, as I look at my lineup here, he's got RG3, but guess who I got? I got Drew Brees. That right
clear
there.
Advantage.
Clear advantage. The leg's still not working quite like it should. He's getting in rhythm a little bit. Didn't play any preseason games, so it could hurt him, still coming into this game. But, just mano y mano, he's got.
I'd give you the clear edge. I will say, so 2 fantasy leagues, you will not be facing Decker in our game.
Okay.
So in our JGR league, we'll go down. You will, however, unfortunately for you, be facing Demaryius Thomas, which is even worse for you because he will be in my lineup and he will be in the end zone. I can promise you at least once. Shout out to my big league in DC with my friends at year 17. Just flew up for my draft last week and unfortunately had a great draft. Had it Thursday night before the first game. Had a great draft right up until the schedule was made and I had to play the Peyton Manning owner. So my first week was an 0-1 before Thursday night even ended after I gave up 7 touchdowns. So thankfully you do not own Peyton Manning and I don't have to play him again.
Okay, well that's great. But I want to kick it off to my director right here. He usually has some key questions for us. So what do you got for us, director?
So who has the advantage head to head?
So head-to-head, according to Yahoo, I've got a 6-point projected advantage, but we know
Projected.
that means zilch. Maybe we can read through the matchup here real quick before you ask us a question, and maybe fans can write in and tell us who they think's got the advantage. So at QB, it's Drew Brees versus RG3. I'm going to give you the clear advantage there.
Okay.
At running back, it's Steven Jackson and Alfred Morris against Marshawn Lynch and Matt Forte. That's a heck of a matchup right there. That's a heck of a...
Marshawn Lynch was a little quiet, but we know that's usually not his forte.
And speaking of Forte, hopefully a few trips to the end zone. At receiver, we got Dwayne Bowe, Tavon Austin, and Malcolm Floyd going against Demarius Thomas, Marquez Colston, and Antonio Brown.
You probably got me on that one right there.
And where I think I've got you is my flex. I've got a little bit of a man crush on this guy. So my flex player is Eddie Lacy, going against Jarvis Green Ellis, the law firm. Eddie Lacy, by the way, if you want a sleeper this week, that Redskins game, as much as I hate to say it, I think Eddie Lacy is going to show everybody why they picked him in the second round this year. He's a man-child, and he's going to have a big week, hopefully a real big week.
But let's not forget about the tight ends there.
Yes,
I have one of my favorites,
that's a good
class
point.
of '97. He and I came out in the same draft, Tony Gonzalez there, and you have
Mr. Fred Davis,
Fred Davis.
who was not very active this week. I was a little disappointed. Now, again, I know that was kind of a wacky game plan. Hopefully we get back to Redskins football. He can block well, and I know Shanahan likes to have his tight ends stay in and block. So hopefully he stays in and blocks a couple downs and goes out and catches a few after that, and a few of them in the end zone. And then we've got Denver's defense going against Chicago's D.
The Bears.
Bears. So I don't know. I kind of like my chances this week. It's going to come down. If Breeze trucks 4 or 5, I think I'm in trouble. But otherwise, it may be 2-0 for Pernsky.
Okay, we'll see.
Anyway.
We'll see.
Let's see what the director has here for us.
One question. Colin Kaepernick. A lot of people might not have drafted him as a starter. What do you do? He 400 yards, 3 touchdowns last week. What do you do with Colin Kaepernick?
You start him.
Well, you say you start him, and I have him as a backup,
Okay.
but I have Drew Brees.
You start him
as well.
unless you have
Well, can
Drew
I
Brees.
trade him, or what do you think?
Absolutely.
Trade back?
Now, I know everyone needs a backup, but I would say Colin Kaepernick, I'd give him another week to show what he's got. And if he does what he did this week, I would start get yourself a marquee receiver or something for him. Look to package him with someone else. You need a backup. You don't need Kaepernick on your bench. You need to leverage him into somebody that can get you points.
Well, I think that'll do it for another fantasy game plan. Hey, if you guys have any questions, you need some tips, who to start, who to bench.
You want to console Ronaldo after his loss? Oh, I'm sorry.
Exactly. We'll see. Come at me at Reno97 or at Pernsky. Make sure you give me questions in anytime you need them.
Go Skins.